everyone. Welcome to our August A2NewTech. I am your slightly moist host, Zach Steindler. Some of you may know me from OWARC. We put live channel websites at August here in Ann Arbor. How am I trying to phrase this? Is this your first time at A2NewTech? Please raise your hand. Whoa, okay, yes, there are a lot of new people. The format is quite simple. We have 5 companies give a presentation for 5 minutes, and then they do an audience Q&A for 5 minutes. So as these companies are telling you about their product, about their business strategy, about their go-to-market strategy, be thinking of questions that you have, clarification questions, things that you have been trying to solve that seems like they might have solved, because there will be a chance for you to ask those questions when they're done presenting. Okay, and so without further ado, please welcome our first company, Paperspace.
Cool. Hey everybody, my name is Dillon, and today my partner Dan and I are going to present this project we've been working on for about the last 3 months or so. It's called Paperspace. By way of some background, Dan and I are both formally trained in architecture, like building architecture, not server architecture, although we tend to do kind of both now. And in our kind of capacities in architecture, we both work on the technology side, so I actually develop software for architects to use for kind of structural analysis. And Dan works to deploy kind of technology stacks for architecture firms. So that's kind of the background. And in that capacity, like working in these firms, we kind of ran into a fundamental issue that's not just architecture, but it's something that we kind of saw across the board, which is a problem with desktop computing and a problem with kind of high-performance workstations.
So the realization that really emerged for us early on is the idea that for most businesses and consumers, the buying and managing computers is an expensive and painful process. So what are some of those pain points? Well, at its core, the desktop computer is a depreciating asset. It has a very high upfront cost, and it's a long-term financial commitment. Computers also tend to be unreliable, and they become outdated very quickly, which means they struggle to run the most recent software. But most importantly, they're a major distraction from the things that matter. They take time away from what people love to do, and of course, what people get paid to do. So how do most people deal with this? Well, this headache is typically offloaded to expensive IT departments and consultants that are simply out of the reach of many businesses and most consumers. So Dillon and I got to thinking, what if there was another way? What if buying a new desktop for your business was as easy as the click of a single button? And what if you could have access to this desktop from anywhere in the world? And more than that, what if this computer could scale up with your business as demands change? So the product that we've been working on is a turnkey solution to deliver high-performance, fully managed desktops as a service that are accessible from a mobile and web-based management console. And what this means is we're enabling anyone to access a virtual desktop that lives in the cloud but is accessible from anywhere. And so some of the inherent benefits in this are a predictable pricing model, a low upfront cost, never having to worry about downtime because of a hard drive failure, or never having to think about things like backing up your data. And there are a whole host of other advantages. And we think that virtual desktops, if they're actually done right, could go a long way in solving this IT headache.
Okay, so just to be clear, we didn't invent virtualization or virtual desktops. That's something that's been around for a while, and we're kind of standing on some giants here. So you might recognize some of these names. The 2 largest, Citrix and VMware, develop a lot of this technology that makes virtual desktop delivery possible. But the difference is these companies are primarily interested in developing virtual desktops for Fortune 100 companies that have over 500 employees. And fundamentally, they develop products for IT departments. So they develop the product and they market it and they sell it to an IT department, not the actual end user. What are we actually trying to build? And Dan mentioned the most important part, which is a management console for actually provisioning and managing these cloud-based desktops. We're building ours right now on Amazon Web Services, and also a really cool technology that's about 6 months old called a vGPU, or Virtual Graphic Processing Unit. The brand name is Grid, and NVIDIA makes these. It's primarily out of the gaming industry has promoted these for streaming video games. But what it effectively means for us is that whereas virtual desktops have been possible for a while, they haven't really been possible for the kind of work that we're talking about, which is high performance, it's 3D intensive. And what it means is that we can actually have a desktop that's on par with, or a virtual desktop that performs the same as one that you might actually have at your at your office. We're also doing working with some pretty cool technologies, including streaming this desktop over the web using high performance JavaScript. And we're pursuing or looking into a kind of hardware solution. Right now, what we have, just to be clear, what we have is we are able to provision a desktop in the cloud and run these applications, but actually completing that experience and making it something that will really help these companies that we identified is something that we're still working on. So I know that was very quick. We only had 5 minutes. I'd love to chat about the technology behind it because it's actually really cool. So if you're interested in this at all, we have a website, paperspace.io, also an email, or just come up and chat. We are looking for all interested parties. So hope to have a tech demo very soon. A couple bugs to work out, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, now to the fun part. Questions.
Yeah.
So could you say again what the major value proposition you see as far as why the users would use this product?
Sure. So managing the hardware aspect for these businesses is really the most fundamental thing that we're trying to abstract away for them. And what we're really trying to do is bring all the benefits of the cloud that we're all familiar with and apply that to the traditional desktop experience. And there's some other models like app streaming that you've probably heard of before, but we think that to increase adoption into this technology, you really need to deliver the traditional desktop that people are used to, because the reality of the situation is people aren't just using one single app.
And just maybe to go one step further, I mean, this is a real problem. We both work down on First and Liberty at a building that has like 6 or 7 architecture firms, and being able to buy a new computer, one thing that we mentioned was like a low upfront cost with this kind of infrastructure. Buying a new computer that for the types of things that these companies do costs maybe, let's say, $2,500, which isn't it's not a lot of money, but it adds up, and it is the difference between hiring new people for the summer or not, because it's so if you can actually as a service rent out this infrastructure and it's not a long-term investment, I think that it has a very clear value for letting people like architects or really any other business do what they do instead of worrying about changing video cards, which is actually what happens. We have, and there's a lot that factors into that, but we can be competitive with the actual price of the desktop itself if it were broken down into that monthly price point, and also give you all the benefits of remote access and redundancy, et cetera, et cetera. So, yep.
When you look at Adobe and Autodesk, they're delivering similar kinds of things through the browser. What's compare that? How would this compare to
So this
that?
is completely in line with that. At the end of the day, you still need a computer to run it. There are like, I'm not sure if you're talking about their kind of app delivery models. There are a couple.
Their streaming model.
Sorry.
The Adobe streaming of Adobe in the cloud.
So Adobe in the cloud is kind of a licensing thing, at least the way I use it. But they are working on like delivering just an application in a browser, and that's, I think, a really interesting technology and driving a lot of this. But I think that's actually pretty far away, and most people that I've talked to and worked with still use a traditional desktop that requires multiple programs interacting. And so we're trying to replace the actual desktop machine. Yep.
So I know AWS and Azure both have VMs now that pretty much stand up in 5 minutes. How do you compete with them?
Well, we don't compete with them because we're fundamentally, I think, doing something different. I think that we're building that. I mean, we're actually building on top of that. But the reality is the people that we're interested in actually getting to aren't going to fire up instances on AWS. It's just, so the part that we're providing is kind of the management console on top of it. It's a thin layer, admittedly, at this point. And Amazon actually does, they have a product where you can actually get a desktop in the cloud similarly. And so, in that sense, I guess it is a little bit more of a
The other difference is that most of these companies are focusing on kind of low-level work like web browsing, word processing, that sort of thing.
I mean, I do hardcore development on an Azure VM. It's got 4 cores and
No, right, but not graphic-intensive work, and that's the real differentiating factor that we're offering is that Amazon and Azure don't have the streaming codec that can respond to orbiting around a 3D-dimensional model or doing 3D-intensive work.
Yep.
Is that, so the streaming model that you're talking about, is that a technology that you actually own or created, or is that something that you're just bundling together from somebody else?
Right now, kind of a combination of both, where the proof of concept is using a lot of existing technologies, but what allows us to actually, I mean, it's a very technical thing, but basically these GPUs, vGPUs, the NVIDIA Grid, actually sidestep a lot of the problems with delivery, like streaming a desktop. They give you a raw H.264 feed off of the card that doesn't interfere with the graphics card. So it's really a kind of streaming problem instead of a CPU optimization problem, which is what it's been before. So, yeah.
What's your growth model? How do you get out? How do you get yourself known?
We start here, and I mean, we've actually just been focusing on the product itself and making sure this is viable and running a lot of numbers to see if the price point's there, because if it costs more than a regular desktop, it probably won't work, and we think that it can cost less and it can be better than existing solutions. So I think that that's compelling enough to help us. What's that?
Better mousetrap.
Better mousetrap. Yes.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, while our next presenter is set up, I wanted to briefly go through and thank our sponsors. First and foremost, the University of Michigan Law School Entrepreneurship Clinic has been so kind to us in allowing us to use this very fine venue for all of our A2NewTech meetups. Additionally, R2 Vive has supplied wonderful streaming and video recording of A2NewTech for years and years. And last but not least, A2 Geeks is this very interesting meta organization in Ann Arbor that provides a lot of infrastructure support to a lot of meetups like A2NewTech, also things like Ignite Ann Arbor, things like Geek Tours and stuff like that. And so if you're interested, you can check out more information at a2geeks.org. And then do you guys need to switch to the video input, or
Yeah.
were you on HDMI?
Yes.
Thanks. Okay. And then one other thing about A2NewTech is that in between some of these presentations, we're going to have time for community announcements. And so if there's an upcoming tech event you think the community should know about, or if there's upcoming job openings or current job openings, please keep those in mind for the 2 next couple of presentations. What do you guys think? You ready?
Yeah, definitely so.
All right, please welcome Branch.
First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming and battling the treacherous weather we're dealing with today. It obviously means a lot. We've been, as a team of 6 individuals, working extremely hard. The team developed 3 developers, 3 business members, focused on something that we all decided was something that we wanted for ourselves, and we could make a product that would apply to a lot of the people that we interact with, our peers, simply put. First, I'd like to just briefly show the team. So we have a dev team comprised of graduate students, current computer science students, and business students ranging from Ross to graduates as well. What I really want to do, though, is obviously show you the product that we're currently working on. It is a social media application focused on actually utilizing what social means, because most applications these days are either putting you in a situation where you're dealing with thousands of people that you truly don't interact with, or it is basically for self-gratification where you get your likes and your favorites, or all these different things that truly don't encompass the word social. Quite the opposite, actually. So we've been creating social media that we like to say is for the us. Not for everybody, not for me, but for connecting people. So Branch is named after the concept of branching out. It is geosocial. You can see what people within a 1.5 mile radius are posting about, whether it is in a general area. As you can see, we're in the local tab right now, and you'll see some photos taken from earlier today. You can notice the poor weather. You can see what people have generally been posting. This will be very applicable for students coming into college or looking for peers to study with, maybe from romantic interests, academic, professional, and broadly social. So you can go ahead and connect with these people in a simple way, which I'll just give you a little preview. If you click the branch button, you can basically just respond to this, pull it up, slide here, you simply connect to them. You're still anonymous at this point. Oh. Maybe some technical difficulties at the moment. It's not responding at all. No. Alright. Okay, we can go through some slides. We were fearing technical difficulties due to being on a public host, thinking that some ports might be blocked. Obviously, it's a different type of technical difficulty, but we came prepared. Sorry about this delay. In the meantime, I'll talk, because obviously we have a limited time. There's 4 different facets that we really try to focus on with our application. Number 1 is connecting individuals that do not yet know each other. And we have a very pleasant feature where they can connect to each other and reveal themselves in a casual setting. And they can just show a couple photos of each other, simply put. And that is utilized through a process called Canvas. And you basically have a little preview of who you are as an individual. And then you form one with this person where you get to share different moments you've had, memories. Okay. Just want to jump to memories. So we have a feature called Memories, which kind of counteracts the concept of likes and favorites and all of the self-gratification, in which when you're connecting with an individual, you can group up amount of time basically you've had with this person. You can bring it together in which you can both interact with that, share moments, look back, and basically embrace the time you've actually had on an individual to group basis for whatever reason, whether you're trying to reflect on something you started a month ago or you're trying to just take moments in that you shared in a social setting. On top of that, one of our prime features is spots, which we have been in talks with local businesses. Basically, they have a verified spot where they can have a little caption and everything and distribute it to people that are going through and looking for what they want to spend their time doing. And then there's also unverified spots in which general people can go ahead and promote their own activities that they're doing. And it's a very simple way to see what's going on around you in a close radius. Due to technical difficulties, we were not able to say everything we wanted to. We'd love to stay around after, give you a demo, just right on the device, answer all your questions. We have a thorough business plan, marketing plan. Feel free to shoot these questions right now, obviously. Got 5 minutes, so.
Okay, thank you.
This.
So, do you sell spots? Is that your advertising?
Yes, I think we came up with a pretty intrinsic way to both benefit the user and companies so that you can actually bring that connection together easier. So you have these unverified spots that are lower on the list, do not show up on the map, which obviously we're not able to show you, but you can see what verified spots, what bars, what restaurants, what libraries, whatever are doing, and they have a little caption. They are able to see their analytics, see what people are actually enjoying, and they have the opportunity to go ahead and reach out to people that seem dissatisfied with whatever service they're providing. And it's for a small flat rate, and actually currently we're in talks with some businesses about offering just to get our feet moving, giving them like lifetime subscriptions, and then in return they're just promoting ourselves.
What's your ask tonight? For tonight, what are you looking for help with?
We've actually been meeting with a couple different advisors and venture capitalists. We've completed a pre-seed round and everything. We're basically trying to get more general feedback from the tech community, and that's what brought us here today.
So you're making an alpha, beta available to?
We are currently basically transitioning from alpha to beta within the next week. We are internally testing and have distributed to a couple of other individuals. About 20 people are currently using it. Obviously hammering out some of those final bugs before we want to get in, before the list that we have of quite a handful of users who have signed up on our website, which all of you are obviously able to access at branchapp.com. To the bottom. And we'll be distributing to Ann Arbor the next week, and then also we've seen to have a good response in the Chicago area, so we're also going to be distributing beta there, hoping to launch within the next 3 or 4 weeks probably.
Thanks. I've seen similar mobile apps and social networks as this, which are location-based, and I've often seen them turn into
I know where you're going with this. I'm
you
talking
know,
about itself, actually.
just like little like juvenile things.
Yes, juvenile, immature. Definitely not a lot of negative atmosphere can happen with these type of anonymous
So you're
initiatives.
going to get that. You're going to
Yes.
get the graffiti on the wall. So how do you?
We have
modulate
a
that?
blocking system in which if you don't enjoy content that someone's posting, even though they're anonymous, you can go ahead and do a quick block with them, so you won't ever see their post again. And we have an algorithm that basically says if somebody's been consistently getting blocked for a short period of time, they get a warning, and we have a opposed to the typical 3 strikes you're out, 2 strikes you're out policy. So you have to enroll with your phone number, so you can never, once you get your second strike, basically you're not allowed back on. We're hoping this is a quick way to make sure that users are not just abusing the app to cause malicious content. Anybody else?
Yeah. 1.5 miles is an interesting geographical boundary. I grew up in a very rural area where that would maybe include like 5 or 6 people, but of course that include many more people. So I was just curious as to how you arrived at that number, or if it might be changing depending on geography. Or
I should have elaborated on that further. That's the default setting. We basically have a range where you can go from anywhere right now. We have it set from 0.5 mile to 10 miles. Given that, we are also probably going to have to interact some sort of algorithm because there's a difference between Wyoming and New York City. So we'll also have to keep in mind post content and make sure that you're getting things relevant. But for something we're trying to do where we're trying to create real world interactions, it might not be beneficial for you just to get posts if they're 60 miles away or somewhere that you're actually not going to go out and engage in the physical world with these people.
Great.
Anybody else?
How many users did you say you had? Like 20?
Yeah.
And then how many sign-ups on your landing page?
I think we got 80 something right now, 80, 90. It's like,
So how are you getting the word out there? Like, how do you?
so we said we completed a pre-seed round, which should give us some initial marketing funds, in which we're planning on going to a couple different colleges, mostly focused in the Michigan area. Obviously, Ann Arbor being students, the majority of the team are students here. We're focusing here, and we're going to a couple other colleges basically to get representatives, I guess you could say, and then also we're meeting with different Greek communities and stuff that might utilize this application as well.
How are you going to compete with the emoji network? That seems pretty hot.
If the emoji, the emoji network?
Yeah, that was a total joke.
Oh, okay, I was confused.
But that is.
Okay. Anybody else?
I got a question.
Yep.
CDW started, 30 seconds. CDW started early this year pushing really aggressively, something like this, for as little as 10 users. How are you going to compete against them?
I'm actually not familiar with CDW's product. We've looked into anything that's had a growth in the geosocial market lately, and to be honest, we haven't acknowledged that as competition out of what we've analyzed. Obviously, might have to give one more a gander, but I think our feature suite is quite different than a lot. We built everything from the ground up, not looking at what other social medias do right now, and not looking at what other specifically geosocial medias do. But we took a feature suite that we thought could actually truly engage users and put them in a situation where they want to use this product to meet people and use this product because it's enjoyable and it's a good way to cherish memories together. I think that sets us apart itself.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, our next presenter sets up. I did want to mention one upcoming event. That's A2 Give Camp. My understanding is that this is an opportunity for people with development skills, design skills, business skills to donate their time and help out a nonprofit with some sort of organizational, technical design problem that they're having. You can find more information at AnnArborGiveCamp.org. And it runs the weekend of September 19th to the 21st. So please check that out for more information if you're interested. All right, and our next presenter is Capture Caddie.
All right, thank you everybody for coming out. My name is Ed. I'm a co-founder of Capture Caddie, and what we are is a self-service video recording kiosk for golf. So most people golf, they think they look like this, and you know all the people that golf, the fake swings in your office that you might see. But in reality, a lot of times people really look more like this, right? So I'm at the driving range or else I'm hitting, and like, man, I'm sweet right now, but you know there's something going on. So I wanted to see what I was doing, but I couldn't. You know, so the problem for me was that there's only really 3 avenues to do it. Right now you can get your iPhone out, and a buddy of yours could come back and try to take that video recording. But you need a friend with you, all the time. The second thing is a golf pro. And golf pros are great and everything, but scheduling and all that stuff kind of takes up time, and they're anywhere from $50 to $100 an hour. Lastly, you could do like a tripod, and you bring it there, but you better be pretty good, otherwise you're going to be a poser at the range. So, what we created is this kiosk. What we have is a face-on camera, and it's an easy, affordable, accessible way to record your swing. We have a face-on camera and then down the line, so it's down this way and then this way, and we also have a launch monitor there as well. Any golfers? Anybody? Tech? No? Okay. So then this would capture all your golf data, how far you hit and all that. So this is what it would look like, or what it does look like right now. So on the left there, you got all your launch angles. If you hit a little left, a little right, if you hit in the center of the club, how far you hit, of course, everybody wants to know that. So then this is the down the line view, and then this is the face-on view. So how it works, typical golfer goes out, and we market and we'll work with them and try to get people to the range. What we'll do is we'll have our kiosk at the range. Our business model really is that we own that kiosk. We put it at the range, free of charge. We take care of everything, maintenance, all that, and then we do a profit sharing with them. Whatever that might be. We are in negotiations right now with a couple places right now. But so what you do is you step up, you get your credit card, put your email in, username, and then press start. Once you swing, you hit, it detects it, and then what it does is then brings up that screen that I showed you last, your video and your data as well, right? So this is a little bit different already from some of our competition, but we wanted to do it a little bit farther and try to differentiate ourselves a little bit more and get some games there. And games that people know already, right? Like we could play tic-tac-toe, I could play blackjack, all these other games that we could just kind of make up using golf, really. And so, these are patents that we're working on right now and just, protecting our space here. So once you're done with the swing, it gets sent up to the cloud, automatically. In about 5 minutes or so, you'll get an email. Then you can go home and you can look at your glorious swing all you want. It is filmed at 60 frames per second, so you can get as much as you need. Really, that's probably as much as anybody needs. Then you work on some things, whatever else, and then you come back. So that's our general flow of how the model works. So our vision, right now, we're working with some ranges. We've got some demos out there. We probably worked with about 5 or 6 different golf courses right now, just getting customer feedback, kind of seeing how people interact with everything. And then once they go there, of course, then they get their video and their data. What we can also do is connect these people to teaching pros. Either your local pro at that golf range or whatever else, or there's virtual pros where you can download your video, send it off to some guy. I have a pro down in Miami. He looks at my swing, he's like, hey, you should work on these drills, you should work on that. And then I go, I do that, and I get better, of course. Then we get, we'll get the games integrated, and we're working on that right now. But right now, really, we're going to be launching more on what's going on the left-hand side. After that, we want to try to get to events, tournaments, March Madness of golf, but, for these games, maybe have, Capture Caddie games. So just to keep people engaged and fun, and help out these golf ranges and courses as well by bringing people there. And of course, we'll use the cloud, so everybody knows the reliability of it and just kind of shuttling information back and forth. So what we see is us, being in the center of all this. And a lot of these actually are really fragmented right now. so this is another way for us to be able to connect other pieces to other places, like we were saying, taking events to the golf course or making games over there. We can do a lot of other things with that. So why we're here today is, we're looking for local developers. We have local right now. We do the LAMP stack, .NET applications or game design, any type of background there. And as I said, we're working with a couple golf courses, but any contacts, business contacts, company outings, people that would have anything to do pretty much with golf work. Or if you're just a golfer, I'm more than happy to get any feedback. So with that, that's it. Bell has rung.
Yeah, questions for
So
Ed?
why point at you point?
Okay, so is this video capture, or do you actually track the swing and track the ball?
Video capture of the swing itself, then we have a radar launch monitor. So it's technology based out of ballistics and military applications, where you see like where a bullet's coming from. So we basically can track that and how far it goes, what height, that kind of stuff.
So there is a radar device, there's something more than a video to get.
Correct.
Cool.
So going off of that, what is the data and how that you're providing, and how are you obtaining that data? You said radar, but what does that provide for me, the end customer? What are the data?
We can check, or we can track clubs as well. So like, say you hit your 6-iron, we'll know exactly how far you hit your 6-iron, 7-iron, 8-iron. So it can track how far you hit left, right, if you hit a little draw, a little fade, low shot, high shots. There's like 30 data sets, and what we saw is that unless you're a golf pro and went to school for that, you don't know what the heck that means. So we try to distill it down to what a golfer needs, not what a pro needs to be able to fit a golfer.
So all that data comes from tracking the ball.
Yes.
Is there any other data inputs?
Right now, no. We have other ideas, of course, but that's phase 2, 3.
It looks like what you showed with the 2 camera system. So my question is, how do you capture both a right-handed swinger and a left-handed?
Right now, we have right-handed people only. Unfortunately, my daughter's a left-handed, and I'm going to make one for her one day, but right now it's right-handed. So,
do you know the ratio? How many?
It's like 98% right-handers, 2% left-handers, in golf at least. Yes, sir.
Yeah, is there any plans to decrease that amount of time and to make the feedback more immediate, potentially while you're golfing, while you're on the course?
On the course itself, there are other companies out there that we definitely partner with if we need it. So we could do something like that.
Hitting it on your phone, just so you can get some immediate feedback on.
At the course itself, right now, that's a space that there's other people, and right now, there's enough to do at the range than to work with that. If there's 15 people, probably 15 people.
So this is really leveraging the fact that you have video, you have data that you can then forward on to a pro and forward to the end user that can both can do their own analysis.
Right.
That's the differentiator between what the other companies are doing and what you're doing.
Yeah. They can't capture this type of data at all. I mean, this is more expensive than some of these workstations, actually, and so it's not accessible. It's just really not that easy to get that type of information.
So you were saying that you're giving the capture caddy to the ranges for free. Like, are the golfers paying for it, and how do they pay for it? Do they pay for it by swing for like an hour? Yeah.
So yes, so we're going to give it to them. The golfers pay, and it's by credits. So you buy $14.95 for 5 credits. 20 credits would be $39.95, and then up.
Right. Well, what does the credit give you?
So about basically a swing. A credit swing. So it's about $3 per swing at the most expensive, and it could be $2.23 for if you get the biggest package. About two to yeah. When they're paying $5 for a ball a lot of times actually. So normally this isn't that crazy for them, or $500 for a driver. Any questions?
What do you get from it? Like I'm a golfer, so what do I get?
Video data, And really, you know, when we get to the games, if you play golf, right, you know that you need to practice under pressure. So when you play these games, you're playing against a buddy and he's kind of, you know, jabbing you and wherever else, you got to hit the shot that you need to hit. And that's kind of the other side bonus that you get with this type of machine too. So that, you know, you can really hit a shot under pressure and know what you really hit your 6-iron. You know, everybody's like, yeah, I hit my 6-iron, whatever, you know, 200. Well, according to this data, you consistently hit 170. Most amateurs think they hit a lot farther than they do. Anything else? Yeah.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Jason. Community announcements, upcoming tech events, job openings, cool things happening in the entrepreneurial community the next month. Yes.
Yeah, my name's David. I'm with Social. We're actually a social music app that we're developing and looking for a back-end developer who can help us with some things we've already launched. Solosha.com, really cool social music site, and just needing some help with some features and things like that. So please get in touch. I'm David.
Other community announcements? Yeah.
One more. I work with Ally Financial. I'm looking for a Unix architect. If anybody knows somebody, please let me know.
Just, oh yeah, plus.
And just to make sure that if you don't think only 2 people are looking for developers. I'm at the University of Michigan. We're always looking for developers for some of the startup projects. Right now I have a need for an HCI person, and I have a need for a young coder, actually, someone with limited experience. The faculty member thinks they'd be able to teach them what they need to do. So they should come see me.
Aside, I'm a cardiologist looking for people who are interested in interfacing with physicians and cardiologists, facing applications, cardiac bioelectricity. If anyone's interested, please let me know.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Lewis, and there's an Ann Arbor coffee code that I think they're kicking it back up again soon, but I run the Detroit version of that. And so we'll be starting the second Saturday in September. We'll be every second Saturday. You can follow me on Twitter at dcoffeecode, and I should be getting the website up in the next 2 days.
Awesome. I did want to run a quick survey. Who here considers themselves primarily a business person? Okay, and then who here considers themselves primarily a developer? Okay, for those of us who consider themselves developers in the room, there is an upcoming request for presenters for a conference called CodeMash. CodeMash is polyglot programming, so it's everything: .NET, Java, Python, C++. So if you're interested in programming of any type, in either attending and hearing all the presentations, or in presenting at a local conference and sort of getting your feet wet in the technical community, you should really check it out, codemash.org. The conference itself happens in January, and I believe the call for presenters ends in September 1st, so don't delay. Ready?
I am.
Okay, without further ado, fudist.
Hi, I'm Jason, founder of Fudist. Eating healthy is too hard. Oh, and so is my PowerPoint, apparently.
Tell me about it.
There's the funny guy. That's the joke. Eating healthy is too hard. It's not just hard, it's too hard. It's harder than it should be. Why is that? Is it just a matter of self-discipline? Are we all just completely helpless in a world that has donuts? Obviously not. The big problems we run into are a couple of things. We've got misinformation and information overload are the first points. In a world where we deal with all these things like coming at us like that, we look at it, we start to think about trying to keep track of it, trying to manage it. It's impossible. It's overwhelming. We just say forget about it. What we need to do is start applying the 80-20 rule, though, to how we think about our nutrition. We need to think about the stuff that's the highest impact first, the biggest impact. And that is, everybody knows on the big four: calories, fat, carbohydrates, and protein. Those are the things that are going to give us a huge impact. If we get those right, if we're eating the correct amount of those, just a little bit of exercise mixed in, we're going to be feeling good, we're going to be looking good, we're going to be doing a lot better. The other thing that I think has a huge impact on why people have such a hard time eating healthy is the complexity level. So even if we're willing to cut down that 80-20 and just start thinking about these 3 things plus plus calories, we're still left with the fact that we're basically playing this puzzle game, this game of Tetris, where as we're eating, building up these bar graphs that represent our meals, we're basically building our own Tetris game, and we've got to try to use our meals to get to our daily goal here, right? It requires a lot of forethought. It's incredibly stressful. It requires a lot of cognitive overhead. And we just, again, we get to the point where we say forget it. A lot of people either say forget it, other people start turning to those fad diets instead where there's just one simple rule. Those of us who actually are willing to track these things manually, though, it becomes a full-time hobby. We don't want to do that. So, wouldn't it be better if instead you could just pick up your phone and press the magical lunch button, and the interwizards would just tell you what to eat? Well, Fudist is that magical lunch button. Now we're going to find out if I can magically make our demo work, because things don't want to be online. So let's quickly do this, but we're going to try to make the demo. So if we can't, I'll start talking my way through it anyway. You're going to pull up Fudist. You're going to press. We have our profile. We have GPS connection. It's going to know our height, our weight, etc. You press lunch. It's going to look up the GPS. We get correlated to our location. It's going to find a restaurant in your area that has meals that meet your nutrition. It's going to find the meals at the restaurant that meet your nutrition. And they're all going to be right there nearby. I'm going to tell you what I got last time I did this demo. We did the demo live, and I pulled it up, and we got, for me, a fillet of fish and an Asian chicken salad at McDonald's. So to make the point that even at McDonald's you can find healthy food. You go back and you say, you know what? Let me go back. I don't love that. The fillet of fish. What else can go with it? I get I got a Caesar salad. So at Burger King there's a chicken wrap plus a veggie burger. So we get a lot of variety. I think the biggest thing that we get with this is people find not only that there's a lot more choices out there. They learn what the choices are, but it's educational, right? People start to learn that it's not just a matter of eat as little as you can. So I didn't just get the fillet of fish. I got the fillet of fish and a salad. I didn't just get one salad. I got it with a sandwich or 2 salads. So when you eat enough and you eat on time, it's educational. You start to realize that that's a better approach than just trying to starve yourself. And so this also helps meter you that way. Really unfortunate that I couldn't do the demo for you guys. We're running out of time here. I want to say we're starting with restaurants, and we'll have the demo work, and anybody who wants to talk to me later. We're starting with restaurants, but we want to integrate with recipes. We want to integrate with your wearables, with your smart fridge, your smart pantry, whatever, when those things exist. We want to be your hub of eating healthy. We want eating healthy to be just as easy as eating hard, just a choice. Yes?
How do you make money?
We're starting with a subscription model. I killed my slides here to try to see if that would help me get on the network, but we do have a built-in client base, people who are already looking at protein, fat, carbohydrates, who are clamoring for this product, and that's people in the bodybuilder, model, fitness professionals. They already have this lap. They're already tracking what we call macros, and it's something that especially when they have to get out to a restaurant or especially when they're traveling, it becomes a huge problem for them. So we'll start with subscriptions. Bring in those people who are already clamoring for the product, but with the wizards and things that we have, I really think it's an opportunity to build that market to where a lot of other people will start to see the value. Once we have a critical mass, I want to start to think about flipping that model where restaurants are coming to us to try to promote their listings. Yeah.
I was wondering what platforms, if any, additional to browser, are you guys planning on running with?
It's actually mobile. So we've got a iPhone app right now, and Android is well under development. Yeah.
How do you prevent against like fatigue for like, you know, if you're always going to the same office space that you always get like the, you know, the same three options?
It's a real problem. The biggest or it's a real concern. The biggest resolution to that is simply the variety of results. So it's actually pretty surprising when you first jump in how many results come up for any given combination of macronutrients, and one of the ways we do that, of course, is by not having it just be, it's not one match. So we're actually doing you know, this plus this plus this. So you can mix and match in a lot of results. But yeah, you're right. If you're eating the same breakfast, the same lunch results, it's going to be 1,000 results, but it's the same ones. Yeah.
How do you get all the nutritional information from all of the restaurants in the
Scraping
area?
all the things, and then we use like things like Fiverr and Mechanical Turk to have people just go through and add attributes that are meaningful to Fudist and kind of clean up the data a little bit. But scraping the web. Yeah.
So can you take a menu, and if the menu is like, you know, pizza slice, I don't know, lemon chicken or whatever, and do you just sort of like estimate, or are you actually getting exact quantities?
No, these so that speaks to one of the huge limitations we have right now in this version of the product is it's all chains that are so large they have to publish their nutritional data. Again, that goes to the critical mass thing. We believe that we can get to the point where this is driving so much business to restaurants that local restaurants want in, and then they start publishing, they're opting in, and of course maybe there'll be some balance at some point where we also start to think about canvassing the street to maybe if we started in a strategic area like Ann Arbor where we actually canvass the streets to kind of build that critical mass too, that might happen. Yes.
Who are the people on your team, and how do you decide what's healthy for people?
So I founded it, and the first 10 months or so was pretty much just me cranking along, using some general guidelines. I now have a nutritional science PhD who's acting as an advisor, and a couple other bodybuilder, dietitian types who are acting as advisors. To make sure that we're on the level. Yes.
What are your plans for like home rest, like developing like for home? Because I know most people are not going to eat out 3 times a day. So like.
Right. So basically, that actually turns out to be quite a bit easier technically, but it's also a more crowded space. As recipes, I think a bigger value would be if we can apply some of the magic. So recipes are actually fairly easy, but it's a crowded space. Added into the restaurants, I think that's where the value would come in. Another place where I see a real differentiation, where we could make something, where we could make it like very much a wow thing, much like I think the restaurants are, is packaged goods. And so what I mean is when you start thinking about what do you have in your freezer, what do you have on your pantry shelf, if you could say make the macaroni and cheese and the frozen chicken that you have. But now of course that means I somehow have to know what you have in your pantry, so that's where maybe when we have that those smart fridges, so hopefully Jeannie gets on that, I guess. Yeah.
Along those same lines, because you talked about trying to really appeal to somebody at the age of basically a college student, on a college budget, how would you actually be able to, I mean, you kind of touched on it with being able to do restaurants, but what if you're given a wealth of different options for anything from breading or whatever you're making? How can you actually have reliable data that applies to any type of breading or given anything? There could be.
Yeah, like, it's not for anything. It's very specific. It's a McDonald's fillet of fish. It's a Burger King.
In my pantry perspective, like I'm just wondering where the data is collected.
We don't have it there yet. We're not there yet. We're talking 2-3 years down the road. So I don't have answers to that. That really, yeah, that's a problem. Thank you.
One last check for community announcements. Yeah.
My name is Archie. I work for a company named Ithaca. We run JSTOR.org, which is a scholarly archive of the last 400 years of academic writing. We're looking for engineers that want to deploy stuff on the cloud very fast. So if you're interested, we're looking for Java people and Python people and people that want to do something in scholarly publishing. So my name is Archie. Come talk to me.
I saw some other hands.
Hi, I'm Bob Sell. I started a company called MyBuys in California, and we're in personalization of e-commerce and advertising. My next company I want to start here, so I'm looking for people who are interested in big data meets mobile meets internet advertising. I won't give you too much today. We may do that in another session, but anybody who's interested in something about Java, backend, mobile SDKs, anything in that area, I'm willing to talk and want to share more. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that Code Michigan, we're going to have our second annual one. It'll be the same weekend as last year. Civic Hackathon be the first weekend in October. It's basically you build mobile apps against recently released data from the state APIs. We have a lot more data than we did last year. We're getting a little bigger this year. We're going to be at Grand Circus in Detroit, where we were last year. We've also added 2 more locations. The Stream, which is a co-working center in Newaygo, and we're also going to have a location in Marquette. I don't remember exactly where, but it's on the campus of Northern Michigan University. We're also creating challenges this year. And if there's anybody in the Ann Arbor area, whether it's a county or the city of Ann Arbor, they want a mobile app developed, if it's something that can be developed in a weekend, they pony up $1,000, they can issue a challenge. And with a lot of Ann Arbor people maybe going to Detroit, that may be a way to talk to me.
Cool. Thanks. I think we have time for 2 more quick announcements.
Yeah, my name is David. I work for a company called Microsoft. And if there's anybody in the room that is thinking about starting a business that's based on a software product or a software service, Microsoft has a program that provides 3 years of free software and free cloud computing services. It's totally free. There's no exit fee. There's no obligation at the end of it.
It's called BizSpark, isn't it?
It's called BizSpark, so you've heard of it.
Many A2NewTech companies are BizSpark.
Great, great. If you're interested, come and see me. I'm easy to find. I've got a bright yellow shirt out today, or a green shirt.
And then Scott, you want to close this out?
Sure, I run a meetup in Ann Arbor called Ann Arbor Coffee House Coders. We help people learn how to code and basically just get around, socialize, sometimes drink, sometimes just code and have fun. We're on Meetup, and we're going to be meeting next week Wednesday, so look for us and come on by.
Awesome. Okay, I want to present, last but not least, Vviergy.
Thank you. All right, so we are Vviergy. My name's Kevin. I am the founder and CEO.
My name's Dom Parise. I'm lead developer.
And I'm a recent U of M grad. Dom is going to be a senior. All right, so we're going to talk to you a little bit about energy. We're in the clean energy space, but I wanted you to really, for at least the next 5 minutes, stop thinking about environmental issues and things like that, and I'm going to bring it to you from a new frame. So basically, one of the things that people don't talk about as much as the environmental frame is the human health impacts of energy. So when you turn on your lights, when you use your refrigerator, or you use your air conditioning, a power plant somewhere kicks on and it puts in toxins and carcinogens into the air that are very similar to the ones found in cigarette smoke. So what we do, the first thing is that we quantify your local air pollution in terms of cigarette smoke. So children in Ann Arbor inhale 7 cigarettes worth of air pollution. And the second problem is that in any given elementary school classroom around here, an average of 4 children have asthma, and this air quality affects them more than your normal kid. So this is what Vviergy is. Vviergy is a web tool for visualizing your impact on local health due to energy consumption, and the other word I'd like to include in there besides visualizing is controlling. So it's a quantified self company in some ways in that you fill out 4 categories of energy use: air travel, home energy, ground transport, and buying habits. Our site spits out a score for you, and you want to get your score as close to 0 as possible, and this opportunity is not out there right now. You cannot control your impact on local health right now. And up at the top you can see the live air pollution data, so we have live data feeds across the country that feed in your nearest air monitoring station. Over here we have, one of the big things we're big on is data visualization. So we have this visualized interface that represents your choices. The mood of the world changes based on how you rank compared to other people in your air quality zone. And then as you complete goals, it gets more and more happy. So you've got like kids represented, but you've also got like mountaintop coal removal. That gets better as you go. What did we learn from customer discovery? Well, there's 3 common actions. I talked to 70 plus parents. Here are 3 common actions that they take. And so there's buy organic food, avoid secondhand smoke, and wear a bike helmet. The thing I'd really like to underline is all 3 of those have a perceived risk and an actual risk. And what we found with parents is that the perceived risk is really the thing that they're going to take action on. All that matters is if whether people judge this to be real is whether they actually do something. And then what's the revenue model? We do affiliate marketing similar to mint.com. So we recommend products and services that will reduce your score on the site. If you choose to buy them through our site, we try to make that as easy as possible, and then we get a fee on each one of them.
So how it works is basically you fill out a set of questionnaires based on the different types of energy use, and then we convert that into a score so that we can present on a more local level your impact. And so then these scores we have broken down state by state and at a very local level. The score then you're able to have an impact on by a group of goals that we have put together. And so these goals are given to you on the scale the same scale that we present through the calculator. And you can basically complete these goals and talk on a certain level of points for each of the goals to kind of see how much of an impact you're actually helping by each of the things that you're doing. So then we have groups based on regional air quality monitoring zones, and that when you join in, you put in your zip code, and then you're automatically enrolled within these groups. And these groups allow you to kind of visualize how your neighbors are doing and how the people close to you are doing, because air pollution is a more localized thing than global warming or something like that. And so really we want to bring it down, make it as personal as possible. And then we visualize these groups by showing the number of points that people are taking on, the number of points that someone's completed, and it's all on the same point scale, the Vviergy score. And with this, we're able to kind of get at people collaborating and competing and kind of show where they match up to their neighbors and how other people are doing in their community.
Yeah, and that's it. So what do we need going forward? We need money, grant money, impact investor, angel money. Basically, me and him have the skills to do this, but we want to take this thing to the next level, and we want to add some team members with us. Also, we'd like user experience feedback, so we're going to have a site up within 24 hours, and we'd love to hear some of your feedback on the user experience. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
So what are the attractors to users other than wanting to be a do-gooder? Is there some sort of offer that they receive to buy these goods through your site? Do they get a discount? What's the attractor?
Yeah, sure. So we could do some sort of like deals thing, but when I actually went out and talked to people, not a lot of people mentioned cost as a barrier to doing any of these things. The big thing they mentioned was convenience. How easy is it to take on one of these things, and how easy is it to follow through one of these processes? So in light of that, we're trying to make it as easy as possible to go through this and like either hook you up with other electronic networks that'll help you do it, or help facilitate the product purchasing.
How long does it take to fill out a survey on that?
So you only yeah, right. So there's 4 categories. You only have to do one of them if you so choose. And so, for example, for home energy, it can be as brief as putting in one energy bill, and that's it. And then each one has its own little types of user input, but it could be 30 seconds or less if you want it to be. Yeah.
What prevents people from relying on some of these things in order to get more points?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've talked to people that have done similar schemes to this across the country. One big thing that stops them is that if you're in a small group, you have the accountability to people around you, so people will know, oh, so-and-so is lying. And the second thing is just that if you lie about it, I mean, the whole point of this is to make you feel good about your actions, and if you lie about it, nothing real is happening in the world. and if, you know, the real impacts that you want aren't going to happen, basically. Yeah.
So I have my house. I can replace my incandescent bulbs with LED bulbs, but I don't run like Zingerman's Bakehouse. I don't own an aluminum recycling factory. I wonder what's the comparative impact that individual homeowners can have versus people that are doing some sort of industrial processing, manufacturing, that sort of thing. And if you thought about targeting those people.
Yeah. So you're saying residential versus industrial. Like in terms of the energy mix in the entire United States, I think residential might be 25 to 35%, I'm not sure. But the idea is that once we get individual people interested, we can then put pressure on the large commercial and industrial facilities. Right now, if I tried to go to them for that, they'd be like, who are you and where are you coming from? It would be better to have some sort of groundswell and some actual user interest.
Just a bit of an interjection. A friend of mine used to work for DTE Energy, and it was her full-time job to reach out to companies to install more energy-efficient refrigerators and other industrial equipment.
Yeah.
It actually saved DTE money, and it saved the industrial manufacturer money as well. So you might be surprised, especially when it comes to operating costs, how receptive some industrial people might be.
Right, and for that one we have to tweak our value proposition a little bit, because right now it's like on the personal level, like you and your relationship with your children, and that one it would be more of like a data analytics, like analyzing your energy use at different times of the day. I know, I mean, in Ann Arbor Spark, there's another startup in there that just left that does that. So there might be a crowded space already, but yeah. Cool. Yeah, go ahead.
Is it important that your users keep returning to the site? Because I could see how people would show up once, figure it out, get a recommendation, and then be done. Because quantify itself is obviously something that takes a lot of effort, and I don't know how much people would want to keep up with their energy consumption.
Yeah, so the reason we're expecting people to come back to the site is to keep on following up on these goals that they take on. So there's two different types of goals. There are the intermittent ones, like get a home energy audit, and then there are the habitual ones, like carpool to work and take public transit. So I think depending on which type of those goals you take on, it might be more or less often. So if you're taking on a home energy audit, that might be like once or twice you log on and that's it. And if you don't choose to take on anything else, then there's probably no reason for you to come back. Yeah, go ahead.
Are your inputs completely like user generated and that they actually physically put them in, or is there any like tracking of, you can go ahead and say, oh, you drove 30 miles and you registered this car and now we know this? Is there anything that the user doesn't just go ahead and decide what they put in?
So I think there's two ways I think about that. Number one, we're trying to add a mobile app component to this where it would be like movement tracking, and then we could automatically or more automatically figure out your vehicle use part of the thing. And the second is, once we start to get used on this, I think there's some machine learning opportunities where you can say, oh, you don't want to fill out a profile right now? Well, maybe you can take the average of people around you if you really don't want to get a customized view of it, and then you don't have to fill it out. But that's after we get some users in a given area, because the average score is going to vary based on your energy mix and other things. Yeah, go ahead.
What about tapping into some existing APIs, for example, like Nest or smart home appliances or even smart meters that are available now?
Yeah, we're definitely planning on to do that. There's one API to rule them all called the Green Button API, and that makes it a really easy plug-in for people's electricity data. The problem is that it's moving the development is moving incredibly slowly. Last one, go.
So can you run your score right now? Is there a place that we can go to check out?
In 24 hours. In 24 hours you can.
What's that?
It's joinvviergy.com, the one at the bottom right here.
And it might be linked on A2NewTech.org. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
you. Okay, that concludes our official programming. Often the speakers hang around for a bit afterwards if you have questions for them or other people in the community. Sometimes there is a mixer afterwards. Dominic's might be a little bit wet. Was anyone interested in grabbing food or drinks after this?
Pizza?
Pizza House?
Pizza House. Pizza House.
All right. There will probably be a contingent of people heading over to Pizza House in about 30, 45 minutes. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Good job. Good.